Namaskar and welcome everybody to today's 21st day of the Nurmasa Satsanga. Lakshmeenatha Samarambham Nathayamunamadhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyutapadambuja Yukma Rukma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadgurur Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसी जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेत सादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. With prayers at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Rama and Acharyas, let us take up our topic for today. So yesterday we had stopped at the point where Bharata convinces Kausalya that he is not having any hand in the plan to send Rama to Vanavasa. And we said that next Vasishtha Charya came and with his advice, Bharata and Shatrughna completed all the, rites, rituals which are to be performed for Dasharath Raja. Now, after this, the next day, there was some great ruckus going on near the entrance of the palace. So what happens is, they are wondering, what is this noise? And then that guard from outside drags Manthara and brings her inside. And when they see Manthara, Valmiki describes it is like looking at a monkey which has been given all great ornaments and it has been decorated with ornaments. So Kaikeyi had promised Manthara that because you have given me all this advice, so I will make sure that you are rewarded. And as a result, she had given many gold ornaments and other decorative stuff to Manthara. So this Manthara, now that Bharata had come back, she wanted to now be part of that rejoicing that Bharata is going to be the king. So what she does is she has worn all those ornaments and she has come there. And seeing her, the guard is so angry. He realizes that the right person who will punish this woman is Shatrughna. So he brings her to Shatrughna. He doesn't bring to Bharata because they know that Bharata's attitude is that he is also sad that Rama has gone to Vanavasa. That is all fine. But they feel that Bharata may not be willing to punish Manthara. So they bring her to Shatrughna. And Shatrughna drags her all along and takes her to where Bharata is. And then Bharata says, you should not be doing like this, Shatrughna. Don't trouble that old woman. Leave her. Let her be aside. We must not harm women. Then Shatrughna says, no, but she is a Parama Papi. She is the one because of which all these events have taken place. So I am going to punish her. We have to punish her. Then Bharata tells one point. He says, even I am not happy with her. I too feel that she should be punished. Why? In fact, I feel my mother also should be punished. But then the reality is that if we touch any of these two, then Rama himself will be unhappy. And you know what he is going to do? When he comes to know that we have punished these women, Rama will refuse to speak to us. So it is not correct on our part. Leave them. Let it be. We will not say anything to them. Then Shatrughna again says, no, but she is Paramapapi. She is the one. It's all her fault that all this happened. And then, very famously, Bharata says something. Now, this shloka of Bharata, it does not appear in the present day versions of Valmiki Ramayanam. But the Sri Vaishnava Purvacharyas, all our ancient acharyas, have quoted this shloka saying it is from Valmiki Ramayana and they have given an explanation for it. So it is assumed that it was there in the original version of the Valmiki Ramayana. So what is that shloka? Now Shatrughna is saying it is all Manthara's fault. So Bharata tells him, Na Mantarayaha. It is not Manthara's fault. Shatrughna says, why are you saying that? How can it not be Manthara's fault? She is the one who came and poisoned your mother's mind. She is the one who taught your mother, gave her the whole plan of how to get this done. So she is definitely at fault. So Bharata says, No, you just think. Mantra is, after all, a servant maid for my mother. So, what is the duty of a servant? To make their mistress happy, to wish for good to happen to their mistress. So, that is what Mantra thought. She thought by doing all this, she is going to do good to her mistress Kaikeyi. So, what is her fault in that? She is not at fault, he says. Then Shatrughna says, yeah, correct. What you are telling is right. Mantra is not at fault. Whatever Mantra told, Kaikeyi should not have listened to her. Your mother is at fault, says Shatrughna. So then Bharata says, Nachamatu lasyaha. Not my mother either. It is not my mother's fault. Shatrughna is shocked. He said, you are angry with your mother, but no? Why, how you can say that it is not your mother's fault? So Bharata says, no, Shatrughna. Any mother, it is natural on her part to feel that she should get the best for her son. So my mother thought that by making me Raja, she is doing what is really very good for me. So it was just her maternal instinct that made her to work in this way. So she cannot be at fault. So listening to this, Shatrughna ponders for some time and he says, yeah, you're correct. Even if Kaikeyi Mata had asked, then our father, Dasharath Raja, should not have agreed. It is he who is at fault. Why did he have to give in to these people? Whatever Kaikeyi said, he should have overruled that and he should have gone ahead and done Rama's Pattabhisheka. Then Bharata tells Shatrughna, Dosho na Ragnyaha. It is not the Raja's fault either. Now Shatrughna is perplexed. He says, how can you say that? It is, of course, Dasharath Raja's fault. So Bharata says, no, my father, our Dashrath Raja, was bound by his promises. So he had to keep his word. Besides, he is part of this Raghukula Vamsha, where nobody ever goes back on their word. So it is not our father's fault. It is not the Raja's fault either. So Shatrughna says, correct. Okay, Dashrath Raja had to keep his word, and that's why he told Rama. But Rama is the one then who is at fault. Rama should have told Dashratha that no way, you promised me to make me the king, and now I am going to grab that from you. If you are agreeing or not agreeing, it makes no difference. I am going to overrule you and become the Raja. Anyway, I have the support of all the people, of the mantris, everybody. I am going to be the Raja. He should have insisted. So it is Raghava's fault. Then Bharata sadly says, Nacha Raghavasya. It is not Raghava's fault. It is not Rama's fault. Because as the son, he is duty bound to follow what his father has told. And we know Rama's nature that he will never go back on his word. So he will definitely do whatever father orders. So it can't be Raghava's fault. Now Shatrughna says, okay, fine, if it is not all these people's fault, then who is at fault? Why did all this happen? He says. And then Bharata says, Mat papa mevartha nimitasya asit vana praveshe raghunandanasya. For Raghunandana, for Rama to go to the forest, it is my papa which became the nimitta. It is because of my papa that Rama had to go to the forest. What is this quality of Bharata? He says, if this papi like me, if I, Bharata, had not been born at all this would never have happened. If I was not existing only in this world, my mother wouldn't have had this selfish motive. She wouldn't have tried to pull Rama down from that sthana and send him to Vanavasa. It is because I was born. So I am the Parama Papi. I am the one because of all this, because of whom all this had happened. Then he says the second thing. He says, if I had not left Rama and gone away to Kekeya for so long, then also this wouldn't have happened. Because if I had been here when it was decided to make Rama the king, and then my mother tried to do this, I would have stopped her at once. So Rama would have been here and he would have become the king. So first, I should not have been born at all. Secondly, I was born, but why did I go away to Kaikeya? So I am the papi. It is because of my papa that all this has happened. So here we can see how noble is this Bharata. He is taking the blame for something where he is in no way involved. Now we have listened to the entire story. We know Bharata has had no hand in any of these events. He's had nothing to do with it. He was somewhere far away, not even knowing what is happening here. And yet he takes that blame on himself. And here Acharya says, that is why he is also called Bharata. We saw when he was given the name that he is someone who will shoulder the bhara, the weight of having to run the kingdom for those 14 years when Rama is not there. So here Acharya says, because he shouldered this blame for being the cause for Rama's Vanavasa when he has nothing to do with it, yet he took that blame upon himself. That is why he is Bharata. all the Alvars, they have a lot of love and respect for Bharata. In fact, in Tamil, whenever they refer to Bharata, they say Bharat Alvan. Alvan is a word which is used for somebody who is, submerged and immersed in love for the Lord. And this Bharata is called Bharatalvan to show how great was his love for Rama and how noble he was that he took this blame where he has no role at all, yet he took upon himself that blame. And that is considered as one of the most best qualities for anybody who considers himself a Sri Vaishnava, a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So that is what Acharyas explain here. Now all the ministers say, Rama is not here. The kingdom has been without a king for so long, and it is time. Bharata, you are here. It was your mother's promise which she took from Dashrath Raja, and you are bound now. You have to become the king. But he flatly refuses. He argues with all of them, and he convinces them finally. Even Vasishta Guru tries to convince him, but he does not agree. And he says, there is no way I'm going to become the king. Let us all go to the forest. Let us find Rama and let us bring him back. He is the only king for this Rajya, and I will not become king. Let us go and bring back Rama. So here the Purvacharyas, they explain to us that why is this reason? Why is Bharata, see, according to all the legal aspects, according to all the things which have happened, the events which have taken place, if you see the sequence of events, then Bharata is fully qualified to become the king now. But why does he want? Doesn't he want? Why is he saying we will get Rama back? Firstly, because to become a king and to rule that kingdom indicates that Bharata is the Swami, that he is the ruler, that he is the Lord, and only somebody who is in this position, it is like as if they are independent. So he doesn't want this quality of being independent. This swatantram he doesn't want. He doesn't want to be the Swami. What does Bharata want then? He wants to be paratantran. He wants to be dependent on the Lord. He wants to be the dasa of the Lord. He doesn't want to be Swami. He wants to be dasa. So for him, if I am becoming the king, then that means I am claiming that I am swatantra. I am claiming that I am the boss, that I am the Swami, which is something it is totally against his nature. So he doesn't want to become the king. He wants to only be the dasa of Rama. That is what is Bharata's bhava. Secondly, another Vyakhyana which the Acharyas give here is that Bharata told that the Shastras say that if suppose there is a wedding which has been decided between one man and a woman, and they have both agreed, right? And the marriage is going to take place. But suppose another person, another man steps in there and says that I want to marry this woman, and he claims that he will marry her, then such a person who is trying to break up an already fixed marriage will get the highest level of sin and papa. So Bharata is saying, how can I do something like this? How can I get the papa? Now, what is it that Bharata is referring to? According to Bharata, Rama is that man who is part of the wedding contract. Ayodhya, that Bhumi, is the woman. She is supposed to be ruled by Rama. So, just like a man and a woman get married, Rama would have been wedded to the throne of Ayodhya. So, when this wedding had been fixed already, if Bharata now comes and steps in as the king of Ayodhya, then he is like that other man who is trying to break up this already decided wedding. So he says, if I do this, I will get the highest papa. I do not want that at any cost. And therefore, he is so insistent that he will not be the king. So these are some of the explanations which are given. Now, once all this thing has been done and Bharata is completely and firmly decided that I will not become king and Rama only we have to bring back, then he tells his ministers to make all the preparations so that everybody can go to the forest. Now, what happens is everyone wants to come along with Bharata. All the citizens want to come. The three mothers want to come. The Sena, the army, everybody, all those people also want to come. So they have to take some time. They have to clear the roads. They have to make the path wide enough. They have to make some facilities here and there for water and food. Because if so many people are going to travel together, hundreds and thousands of people, then all these resources have to be there. So they take a few days to do all that. And finally, then they set out. As they go along the same path. They have got news now that Rama is in Chitrakuta. So they go, they like just like Rama went, they go to Shringi Berapura. Now, the minute Guha sees them coming, you remember Guha, who was Rama's friend, who had offered him hospitality. That Guha sees this big army coming, and it is but natural he is highly suspicious. So he tells all these people, all his tribal people and his army, he gets them armed and ready, and he is prepared to fight. Now, he is ready with his bow and arrow, waiting to strike when they come. But then he sees only Bharata and Sumantra coming along to talk to him. And in the Kamba Ramayana, very dramatically, Kambar describes how this Guha was told, he was raging and furious, and he said, "Oh, this Bharata has come now. He wants to come and kill Rama. I will not let him cross this territory to reach Rama." And he was so full of anger and this thing to kill Bharata and destroy that army. But the minute he sees Bharata's face, that bow and arrow slips down from Guha's hands. That is how Kambar describes. What is it that made Guha change his stance? It is seeing the Vesha, seeing the way in which Bharata has come. Bharata has also worn bark clothes. Bharata has also turned his hair into those matted locks. And Bharata's face is so full of sorrow and so pitiable that anybody can see that he is in great sorrow and pain and distress. Seeing this face of Bharata, Guha is totally melted. And he then talks to Bharata, and Bharata tells him, "I want your help. Please help us to cross this Ganga river. We have come to go and meet Rama. We want to take him back to Ayodhya. Only Rama is the king of Ayodhya," and so on. So now Guha is ready to help Bharata. And seeing this Bharata and listening to him and talking with him and understanding how much love and devotion he has for Rama, Guha says in Kamba Ramayana, Guha says, "O Bharata, you alone, you one Bharata, are better than 1,000 Ramas put together." Can you imagine what a certificate that is? Guha, who knows the greatness of Rama, he is now telling Bharata, "One Bharata, you are equal or you are better than 1,000 Ramas put together." So, with Guha's help, boats are arranged. All those people are getting ready and they want to cross the Ganga and go to the other side to Chitrakoot. Now, as everybody is boarding those boats, Guha sees these three women, these three old women who have come, and they are dressed like widows. And he asks Bharata, "Who are these matas? Who are they? Why have they made this difficult journey and come along with you?" So then Bharata introduces the three mothers to Guha. And here again, very dramatically, in Kamba Ramayana, it is described. Valmiki just tells whatever Bharata told in a very unemotional manner, but Kamba Ramayanam is filled with much more emotion at this point. So, how does Bharata introduce them? He says, he points to Kausalya and he says, "This is the first mother. She is the one who is such a fortunate woman that the Lord of the three worlds, she held him in her womb for 12 months. But because of this papi called Bharata, because of me, my sin, she had to lose that child whom she held for so long, whom she cared with so much love." That is how he introduces Kausalya. Then he does not tell anything about Kaikeyi. She is actually the second mother, but he passes her over. He shows Sumitra and he says, "This is the fortunate Sumitra. This is the fortunate second mother of mine who is blessed with Lakshmana, who proved that he is the true brother of Rama. Unlike me, I am a papi. I deserted my brother Rama, but Lakshmana went along with Rama, and that Lakshmana's mother, that fortunate mother, is this Sumitra." He introduces her. And then he's hesitating. But Guha prompts him. He says, "Who is this mother then?" So, hesitatingly, not wanting to introduce her, but forced to because Guha asked, Bharata finally says, "This is the woman who, unfortunately, I was born from her womb. I stayed in her womb, and this is that unfortunate woman, and she gave birth to this puppy like me. Both of us are sinners. We are the two people who are responsible for this sad state coming to Rama." This is the way in which Bharata introduces the three mothers. So, what is it that we can learn from all these events that we have described today? The Acharyas say that Bharata's spirit of wanting to be Paratantra, of not wanting to be Swatantra, is the quality of a truly surrendered soul. Somebody who has completely done Sharanagati to the Lord. Only such a person can be in this way. Only such a person is able to accept blame even for those things where he is not even remotely involved. That is the greatness of Bharata. Here, there is another argument that the Purvacharyas they explain when they are talking about how Bharata convinces Vasishta Rishi. So actually, what had happened was Vasishta Rishi was trying to convince Bharata that he said, "Will you accept the kingdom if Rama asks you to rule?" So Bharata said, "Yes, I will do that," because Bharata is going to listen to whatever Rama tells, isn't it? So he has no question of going against Rama. He will tell Rama to become the ruler, and if Rama says, "You rule," then yes, I will agree, he said. So Vasishta says, "Okay, fine, then anyway, now that is what Rama has conveyed through Sumantra and everybody else. So why don't you rule now?" And Vasishta Rishi gives an example. He says, "See, sometimes we may have some precious jewel that we have. So what I will do if I'm the owner of that jewel, I will take that precious jewel, and because I want it to be safe, I will put it inside the box. So the box is guarding the jewel. So like that, if you take care of this kingdom, you are like the box and jewel is Ayodhya, which is kept inside the box. So you will be taking care of the kingdom. You are both property of Rama, isn't it? Like that." So Bharata is very smart. He says, "Yes, that may be true. But then the box by itself will not go and pick up the jewel and keep it with itself, isn't it? Only if the owner places, then the box will protect. That is all that the box will do. The box will not itself go and take that jewel and keep it with it. That jewel has to be placed by the owner. Similarly, I am like the box, then I cannot go and take over this kingdom and say I will rule. Rama is the owner. Just as the jewel is the owner's property, the box is also the owner's property. It is up to the owner to do whatever he wants with the jewel and with the box. That is why I do not want to take this on my own. That is Bharata's argument. Another thing we notice here is Guha told that one Bharata is better than 1,000 Ramas. What is the secret behind this? Why is he saying something like that? So, for this, the Acharyas explain that the meaning is because Rama, after all, is an incarnation of the Lord. He doesn't project it and he does not say it, he does not accept it also. He says, "I am Dasharatha's son." But in reality, Rama is Avatara of the Lord. So, for the Lord, when he takes Avatara, to be very great and to be superior and to have all the noble qualities is not at all difficult because he is, after all, having all those qualities. But what about Bharata? He is not Lord, isn't it? He is a human being. And yet, despite being a human being, he is displaying all these amazing qualities. That is why Guha says that one Bharata is better than 1,000 Ramas. Because for the Lord to have all good qualities is natural to him. But for a human being to have these noble qualities is highly impossible. And yet, Bharata shows those qualities. That is why Guha says one Bharata is better than 1,000 Ramas. So if Bharata can be like this, Bharata is a human being and he can be like this, what about us? Shouldn't we also try to incorporate, to inculcate these qualities of Bharata? Let us see, let us pray to the Lord for his blessings to be able to imbibe these qualities like Bharata and try. One of the most important things we can try to implement is that, like Bharata did, although it is not his fault, he has accepted that it is fault. But many times, what we do is, even when people tell us our mistake, if we are at fault also, we fight back and we say, "No, it is not my mistake." We try to either beat them down and refuse to accept our mistake, or we try to justify our mistakes. So, at least let us try to stop rejecting when people point out our mistakes. Let us try to be accepting and say that, "Yes, I am wrong," and beg forgiveness for that. Forget about accepting things where we have really not made mistake. To feel we are wrong for that, like Bharata, is highly very difficult for us right now. But to start with, at least can we learn to start accepting those things where we have genuinely made mistakes and people are pointing that out to us, instead of criticizing them and saying that they are only finding fault with me. Let us learn to accept those mistakes and apologize for those and beg forgiveness for that. If we are able to do that, gradually we will be able to get to the stage of Bharata. So let us offer gratitude and Kritagnyata to the Lord. Let us offer gratitude to Valmiki Rishi for giving us these uh, characters so that we can learn from them and their actions. And let us pray that the Lord's grace will help us to become better human beings. मङ्गलं कोसलेन्द्राय महनीयगुणाब्धये चक्रवर्तीतनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मङ्गलं वेदवेदान्तवेद्याय मेघश्यामलमूर्तये पुंसां मोहनरूपाय पुण्यश्लोकाय मङ्गलं पितृभक्ताय सततं भ्रातृभिः सह सीतया नन्दिताखिललोकाय रामभद्राय मङ्गलं श्रीमते रघुवीराय सेतुलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलं मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you everybody for joining, and we will meet again tomorrow as we continue our story. Namaskar.